In this video, I'll show you how to display data from a Google Sheets spreadsheet in your Dixa conversations. And the way we're going to do that is by using Dixa's custom card feature. And custom cards show right here under integrations. And in the end, you'll see data from your spreadsheet right here in your conversation. First, we have to create a FactBranch account. Go to factbranch.com and start your 14-day free trial. And then you'll see this screen where you select what you want to do. In our case, show data in a Dixa custom card. This creates a data pipeline. A data pipeline in FactBranch works like this. It gets triggered by something, in our case, a custom card in Dixa. Then it sends whatever data it got from that onto the next node, and the next node, and so on. And finally, it renders a UI. So in our case, clearly the Google Sheets node that runs our query is missing. So I'm going to create that now. And because we haven't connected to our Google Sheets account, we'll have to do that first. Just follow that flow, allow access. And you'll get sent back to your Google Sheets node in FactBranch, and you'll see it has selected Google Sheets as our data source in the authentication tab. If we go back to config, we can paste in our spreadsheet URL here. I've prepared a little demo spreadsheet. I'm just going to copy the URL, paste it here, and click load. This will load in the sheets that we have in our spreadsheet. In our case, I want to use real data main and use that sheet. That will load all the column names from the first row in the spreadsheet. And what we can do now is define a bunch of conditions that have to be met to display the data. So for example, in our case, if we want to filter by email address, we'll define a condition that matches the email address. So let's do that. Here you see the input data we get from the trigger. So if we want to match the customer email address, I'm going to copy the variable, add a condition here, and select the email column and paste in the variable here. So this will compare the email address column with whatever data it gets from the trigger, from the customer email. And if we run this now, it'll show us no result yet. It'll work, but we don't get a result because we don't have a test@example.com email address in our spreadsheet. So if I change that to Bob, for example, and run the query again, you'll see we get one row. I think I'm going to use Alice because Alice has more data. So it's very simple to use different test data and just try out different versions. Okay, if we now go back to the data pipeline, we'll see the data pipeline gets triggered. Then it runs the query against the Google Sheet and, basically selects one row in our case. And then it sends this row to our final node, the render UI node. If we look into that, we'll see here's the node we got in the previous node, the row we got in the previous node. And a very nice FactBranch feature is based on this data we get here, we can generate a UI. And by the click of a button, we already get a simple but nice HTML UI that has detected that this is a URL, for example, and outputs this as a link. And if you want to change something, you could edit it in here because this is just HTML. Okay, so this is the final output. The final step to display this data in Dixa would be to create a custom card. And if you go into the Dixa custom card trigger config, You see a little guide what to do. So we'll have to go back to Dixa, settings, integrations, and create a custom card. Just going to call it FactBranch. The method is get. And then we just have to copy paste a few values. So the hook URL as authorization method will use header. As header we'll use bearer. Copy paste the token. This token actually tells FactBranch which data pipeline to run. And the final step is to copy the template content, which is the actual content that the custom card will display. When we now save the changes and go back to the conversation, you'll see that the FactBranch custom card now loads and displays the information directly from our spreadsheet. So if you want to display data from Google Sheets in your Dixa conversations, head to factbranch.com and start your 14-day free trial today. If you have any questions, just email support@factbranch.com or also visit factbranch.com/docs.